And good morning. You're flying the very unfriendly skies with Tironan, where every other person wants to kill you and kill you repeatedly. All right. We're flying the FJ1 Fury today. We have the 5X Experience Weekend. Yes, I am using the damage meter to make sure that I'm on target here. All right. And so we're trying to get good use out of this experience, out of the 5X Experience Weekend. Um, Ow. Somebody hit me. This son of a gun. And we want to convince him of the errors of his way. Okay, that takes care of that. We've got a rocket base. We have our... Alright. I do not want to dive in the middle of a furball if I don't have to, but when you have an enemy aircraft, I'm just really anxious to kill. Of course, I'm a lot faster. We're going to turn that into the vertical. Light them up again. The KI-94-2 is one of the most maneuverable aircraft in the game, to the point that you really do not want to get him on your tail. I'm giving some serious consideration to getting a rollerball. And seeing if I can make that work. And we're doing a lot of high maneuverability fighting here, which is kind of nice because that's what the aircraft is really designed for. I'm at much lower altitude than I want to be. And unfortunately, when it comes to Tier 8, the closest they're going to get is a KI-94. And he has considerable hit point advantage over me. So I want to whittle that down and take him down. The Fury does not have the killer armaments that you see on a lot of aircraft. What you get, got some help there, lovely, needed it, is that it has 650s in it. And in this game, it is the bane of American aircraft. robot's revenge, I guess. Well, we get to regen. We should have a fairly massive point advantage now. And I want to get up to speed and up to altitude. This says an 8,500 foot altitude, which means that I get to absolutely rule the high altitude phenomenon, dive and get back up to altitude. And you want to make sure when you're using this aircraft that you're doing that. So we have an aircraft we can bounce here. It's our KI-94 in it again. And there's our ME-209, and he is attempting to regain the airfield, and I don't like that.
There's a heavy storm here. Unable to proceed. Return into base. Do you copy? Victory is ours.
Easy victory. I like it. All right, let's get back to the hangar, see what we did. All right, we destroyed 7 aerial targets, assisted in destroying 3, critical damage on 7, helped capture 2 sectors. I got destroyed once in a ramming attack. Came in number 1. This was obviously a 600-point game, I believe. Very short game. We'll take all that we can get, 150,000 points, 144,837 to be exact, and 1,000 free experience. Going to take that too. Team score, I came in a comfortable number 1. I didn't have a whole lot of trouble here, and part of the reason you can see is that the attacker did not, I never saw the attacker, but was not all that effective. And this is a problem with when they start shoving tier 9 above tier. It'll happen at every tier. They wanted to give me a quick game. They put me in. They matched me with as real as you. Is that easy? As you saw, the KI-94, as good an aircraft as it is not a match for a Fury. And I shot this guy down twice and left him with 10% health on the third pass. That's not his fault. Okay? That is not his fault. He didn't have a chance. So what I'm trying to say is this is a matchmaker error. There's a rule that's written in there that they'll balance it out with another bot who rarely equals a human player and probably cost them the game. Okay? So I'm going to take a moment, and I don't do this very often, but to this fellow, my apologies. Okay, it's been done to me quite a number of times. I know that's not a real good, doesn't make you feel any better about it, but I am sorry. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the FJ-1 Fury. This was essentially a training aircraft. Wasn't couldn't pass carrier trials, went to a naval air station. There were 30 of them built, and they went straight to the FJ-23, which was a substantially different aircraft and was built in line with the Sabres, but with cannon armament. Now, it's just my opinion, but they ought to replace that F-86A with a Fury FJ-3, and you'd have a much better lineup. Now, I know you have to put in the F-86 Sabre, but for God's sakes, put in the F-86F and with the cannon, M39 cannon armament, and you have something pretty spectacular there. You've heard me get on this rant before, so I'll stop here. All right, how to use the aircraft. It is a high-altitude fighter, and it is capable of getting behind most of the boom and zooms and killing them dead. Getting close enough, its airspeed is going to be a little crippling. It's right at 560 miles an hour. There are aircraft out there pushing 600 miles an hour, and some of them are going faster. So that's going to provide you with some challenges. That being said, most of them, if you can get up close enough to them, S-turn behind them, or they don't see you and you get to sneak up to them, they can't get away from you. All right, the guns are not the best. You got 480 damage per second. On the upside of that, and it's going to come in right at 2,000 feet range. On the upside of it, they're very slow to overheat, and they have a slow cooldown time too, so be aware of that. If you really get it running up, they can take forever for those things to cool back down. But it takes a long time for them to overheat. You can correct for any errors you're making. If you're seeing that you're on the back end of an aircraft, which I often do, you can correct and get to the front side of the aircraft and rip it down. 480 is enough to get the job done in most cases. That comes with one caveat, and that caveat is this. And by the way, if you don't know what that word means, it's caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. Latin. So something I want you to be aware of is if you get behind in a tail chase with a ground attack aircraft and you're putting out your 480, some of those aircraft and like the IL-40, which would be very common to run across, are doing 203 DPS, and they are trading thousands of hit points for your very small health point pool. And so when you start looking at this, and here's the reason I'm telling you, you got 450 points. Let's go take a look at the IL-40. Happen to have one. And I'm going to take this as indicative of most of them. He's got almost 2,600 points right now. Okay. He's also got a fairly common loadout of the reinforced airframe, the improved covering, and turret stabilization. And I haven't upgraded this to where it needs to be yet. This is in almost stock condition. I got the gun upgrade, but other than that, you can see this is pretty stock. Okay, when you get this, you're going to run up to 192, which is the same thing you see on an IL-20, and then it goes up to 208. And the effective range on this is 3,281 feet. So you're going to take a 1,800 point, 1,281 point yard beating just getting into his range. How long do you think you're going to put up with 208 DPS hitting you? All right, so if you try to do the standard, let's get behind him and kill him, you'll be lucky if you kill him, and most likely you're just going to get blown away. Especially if the pilot is not engaged, you're dealing with a human pilot, and he decides that he's going to move from the front seat to the back seat. and get that improvement there, it's not going to have a happy ending. And you've seen me in other videos attacking IL-40s. You'll notice that I come up at them from above. You want to hit them from this direction, or this direction, or this direction. This thing also has, this is literally a ball, a remote control ball. It can go down to 40 degrees here, 55 degrees here. And I've watched one of my players, subscribers, complain to me bitterly about not being able to take down these ground attack aircraft. You're playing it wrong. All right, this aircraft, the FJ1 is more than capable of taking it down. The other thing is to come into it from the sides. And the way you do that is you come in from an angle of about here. You hit them. You take off at an angle here. S-turn and come back in. Okay, but now he's moving forward too. If he's a savvy guy and using it correctly, he's going to try to turn into you. You have to be aware of that. If he does that, go above him. You have considerable speed advantage on him. Turn it into the vertical, drop down upon him, and kill it. All right, he can take about 3 or 4 or 5 passes. But you can kill these things, and you can do it repeatedly and not take a whole lot of damage doing it. All right, do not give him a steady, even, level target for that rear gunner to kill you. All right? Bit of an instructional video, but hopefully it will prove to be some use to you. All right, this is a good aircraft. It's far from perfect, but used correctly, you can really start to dominate the high-level reaches with this. Things that get up high and turn as well as this are rare to none. All right, you can operate this thing at 10,000 feet all day long. It's perfectly happy up there. It's not, you want to stay at 85 plus or minus 2,000 feet. You won't get the best performance over 10,000 feet, but it still operates very well. Where a lot of your enemies are up there gasping. That the F-94 Starfire is desperately running out of breath there. If you get, don't get in front of it. You guys have seen my videos on that. Do not get in front of it. That 800 damage per second and a laser beam for a weapon in that M61 Vulcan will rip you to shreds in seconds. And not to mention, or not to forget, that it also has folding fin aerial rockets. So if you make a head-on pass on him, he'll hit you with the rockets and you're gone. First time. All right, if he misses, you're lucky. So some of the things you'll run across. The attacker is your equivalent, and he's got longer range on his guns. There are quite a few other aircraft. You can say almost everything has range on your guns. Okay, well, with the fighters, you've got, especially if you're hanging out at high altitude, you are easily able to handle most of it. You're going to have to keep a very sharp eye for F-94s and MA-262-2s, the HG-2, because they live for finding you, lining up on you, getting to their optimal range, and lighting you up. So maneuver against them. If you see them coming in, do something right then. All right, do not let them close to range. Get evasive, get maneuvering. If they're coming in, they don't turn that well. I suggest either diving or climbing above them and radically changing your course, spoiling their aim, and executing an S-turn before they get to you. And you're going to look at me and say, you're insane. No, I am not. The reason is, if you do that, when you come out of that S-turn, you're going to find yourself right on their tailpipe. Uh-oh. Yeah. And I will tell you, an MA-262 with this on its, within 400, 500, 600 feet of its tailpipe is confetti. All right, they're big, they're tough, they're fast, but they have to run over 2,000. They have to get up to 2,000 feet to get out of your effective range, and that's going to be a very painful experience because they don't turn very well and they can't maneuver that well. Same with the F-94. Again, you get evasive, stay away from that damn M61. You know, do whatever you have to do, but spoil their aim. Don't wait till they pass you. Wait till they get close to you and pull an S-turn. Get on his tail, eat him alive. And if you're operating at the level that you should be operating on, he's going to be slower than dog meat. You're going to have to hit your brakes. You're going to have to hit your flaps. You're going to want to slow down. He's not moving that fast anyway. If he's running up around 85 to 10,000 feet, his performance is going to be god-awful. And you can make him die very quickly. The Banshee is another case in point. 13-second turn time. Very long-range guns. All right, here's your F-94. I don't have the HD-262. But your turn times on this 13 seconds, 14 seconds. Again, these very, very long ranges. He's up to almost 2,700 feet, as is this guy. All right, they're using very high velocity 20 millimeter shells, which give them a very flat trajectory, very hard hitting, very long ranged. On this monster, you also have these. He has 3 salvos of these that he can let go. If you come in on the front and try to ram or try to make a hit-on pass at him, and you get close enough, these will eat your lunch one-shot salvo. That's it. You're done. I've taken down IL-20s, IL-40s with these. You see one of these coming up behind you, for God's sakes, move. He gets close enough, he's going to let these go. I don't care what you're flying, you're going to go down. This can be outfitted with rockets. It's kind of like tits on a boar hog. It's not terribly useful. You're going to spend most of your time at very high altitude because he's got an 8,200 feet altitude, 300 feet less than your Fury. Okay? So be aware of that. You're not going to get an altitude advantage on him. He's got better guns, but he's got a much worse turning circle. You have 4 seconds of time, which means that 2 turns and you're on him if he wants to maneuver with you. If he's smart, he won't. He's got a very significant speed advantage of you of almost 40 miles an hour. So if he misses his pass, what he should do is turn and dive and use his, and he should be coming at very high speed. He should be using that speed advantage to get away from you. And if he has a very long lead, by the time you turn around, you can give it up. He's not going to slow down for you if he's not an idiot. If it's a robot, it may very well turn around. If he turns, you can turn inside of him. Then you can cut corners on him until you get him in range, and then he's dog meat. All right? That's a bit of how you fly the FJ-1 Fury. And I've had emails on this, and I've had comments on this, how hard this is to play. Well, it's not terribly hard to play if it's played correctly. But it is a demanding aircraft, as all these are going to be at this tier. All right? I'm really looking forward to Tier 10. Not. But we are. This aircraft is not that far away. The Starfire is not that far away. I'm probably really starting to close the gap on this one in particular. And I'm going to get the Cutlass. And I will tell you, I have gotten a game yesterday where I shot down Tier 10 Cutlasses with this thing all day long. I think I killed 4 or 5 of them, which doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence in the upgrade. Oh my! So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so there is your FJ-1 Fury. I hope this has been helpful. Please remember to like the video, and by all means, please subscribe. I need all the subscribers I get. I want to thank you for flying the very unfriendly skies with Tironan, and we will see you tomorrow.